Happy Teachers' Day to all my gurus, my teachers, and my mentors. And on this occasion of Teachers' Day, I would like to narrate one such incident which I experienced while teaching a lesson to my daughter. My daughter is in 9th standard and she came up with one lesson, that is a one science lesson, saying that she's finding that lesson very difficult to understand. So I just happened to go through the lesson and I realized that whole lesson looked like a plate of food to me. So I compared that lesson with a plate of food and I happened to talk to her to make notes of that lesson. In this one technique I used to make notes of that lesson. When I told her, see that lesson which is of 14 pages as a plate in which you are serving food. So I told you do not need to know all the 14 pages of the lesson. So you need not understand the whole plate of food. What is important is seeing the dishes which is added on the plate. That means the topics and the subtopics of that lesson is important, I told. So I made her list down and write down on a separate notebook the topics and the subtopics. After that, as I went through the topics, I saw each and every topic has illustrations, 3 to 4 illustrations to explain one simple definition. So every topic has a definition. There are illustrations to explain the definition of that term and the principles. So I realized those topics, that there were main topics, there were some such subtopics which are of secondary importance, but the main topic is one which she should know it perfectly. So they are like the major chunk of the lesson, which means they are like the chapati and the rice of the plate. So those topics I made her understand properly, because I said these topics are important topic of this whole lesson and it can come in a form of answer brieflies of 5 to 10 marks. And we went through that whole answer briefly properly. Then there were other subsections or subtopics which were like vegetables of the food. I told these are the vegetables of the food. So these are the vegetables of your lessons. They can come in a form of give reasons or fill in the blanks, right? And or answer in one sentence. Then those subtopics, out of that subtopic, the whole chunk rest I wrote and only critical sentences made her understand those critical sentences. And once she understood that, the subtopic, that is the vegetable of that lesson, she got to know it properly. And the third thing was I made her read finally the whole lesson at least once. After she read the whole lesson, there were certain words which were important, which can come in a form of match the following or in a form of a quiz, and which I just made her underline those words and with the spelling so that she should know the spellings. And that is how the whole lesson was taught to her. By this technique, when I compared the lesson with a plate of food, she realized that I need not know the whole plate. I only need to know the dishes which is put on the plate, which covers only 40% of the plate. Rest 60% of the plate is vacant. And that is how the lesson she learned was very easily understood by her. And this technique was very useful for her. I hope this helped you to teach your child in such a way. When you compare that lesson with something and you teach the child can visualize and also can understand it easily. Try it out. And thank you so much for listening to this video.